Welcome back. This is Zephyr with more of this mod of Diablo 2. So,
Good to see you.
while I haven't played the character, I have experimented with cleaning some stuff up because it needed to be done. So the mod itself should have... Let's go and look at some of this here. Just sold something. So there we go, leather armor of the sky. So there are actual text strings for the affixes that didn't originally exist now. Relatively easy, quick change. Let's see if there's any more here. Yeah, so negative is of the pit. So we've got -5 and stuff like that. And positive is of the sky. So... of disease. Great helmet. Very, very useful. Anyway. So, here's what we're wearing. Got a lot of max and min damage going on somewhere. Some of these places here. And I'm just going to double check that I have scrolls and things. Okay. So I did update all these as well. So everything that is static in mana cost and does not increase now shows that cost kind of in the pre-description, if you want to call it that. In the game back end, it's called like description 2 or something. So you have the skill description, then you've got an unchanging description, and then you've got the level compare description. So yeah, mana cost 3, mana cost 3, mana cost 12, mana cost 20 and 20 and 12 and whatnot. Acquired level 4, that kind of stuff. So Magic Arrow already had this, but it's been actually displayed now. It says Fire Arrow. Whoops. It's not supposed to say Fire Arrow there. It's supposed to say Magic Arrow. I'll have to change that. But Magic Arrow now receives a spirit bonus of 1% skill damage per level. So in the old structure, the game would say like cold damage or freeze length or whatever else. So I haven't touched these over here. But in the new structure, what I'm saying is skill damage. So anything that's on the skill is being affected. So Exploding Arrow does physical damage now. That is a change that I did. So it does a little bit less fire damage per level, and it does equal amounts fire and physical. Exploding Arrow is meant to be just an absolutely massive damage explosion. Kind of an instant feel to it. So Fire Arrow now gains from Dexterity. So if you want to get a lot of fire damage on your arrow, your Dexterity is generally already increasing at a 1% ratio your physical damage on this ability. So if I have 100 damage and I have 100 Dexterity, I'm going to do 200 physical, which is then going to be converted based on the level. Level 1 is 20. We're at 24%. So we're going to get 24% of 200, which would be, 48 damage would be converted to fire. But then that Dexterity doesn't do anything for the skill point that we're putting into it for the actual fire damage. It's only gaining the physical damage, which then encourages you potentially to change your whole build just to use a bow that's more physical and instead ignore the actual fire arrow bonus damage. So by having the Dexterity at 1%, you can see that we have 60 Dexterity here. We're getting a 60% bonus to the fire skill damage. And then same thing here. Fire Arrow is a synergy for both Exploding Arrow and Immolation Arrow. That's it. That's the only synergy that's here in this line. There's no synergies over here other than the stat synergies. Cold Arrow also has the dexterity thing. And these haven't been updated. But Fire Arrow now gives a 15% skill damage per level, which increases both the physical and the fire damage of the skill. So you don't have to only focus on the best bow possible or mostly physical bow or something else. It allows the skill to kind of stand alone as best as possible. I've also buffed the damage of Exploding Arrow, so it was just not performing at the level of 12 mana cost. And while I'm still considering the cost being lower, I want it to be something big. Mana costs mana regeneration has been increased in this mod, and there's a bigger focus on actually putting points into Spirit to get more mana. So everything kind of costs 3 as a baseline, and instead of 2 for reference on a lot of abilities across the mod, not just this class. But Fire Arrow, Magic Arrow, and Cold Arrow all cost 3. We've got things like Jab, which costs 3. We've got things like Impale that has no cost but loses durability. Fend, which is 24, and these are 18, which probably these need to be like 20. These are all static costs as well, just for reference there. Whereas in a lot of these costs actually decrease. The Valkyrie and the Decoy have a high mana cost that decreases with level down to a minimum of 50% of the original cost. So it will originally cost 40 and down to a minimum of 20. And then this will originally cost 50 down to a minimum of 25. So, which is really effective. It's really efficient. But that means you need 25 points into Valkyrie, which with some plus skills in the late game, totally doable. But it gives you gives you kind of a goal, gives you a threshold. It maybe needs to be in the actual skill description, something like that. But it might also just be a pattern that I use across the game itself. And if it's a pattern across the game, then you understand more implicitly. Once you learn it for one skill, you'll learn it for all the other skills too, potentially, if that's the design I go for. It's just a way to kind of communicate that without having it on every skill. Anyway, that aside, Exploding Arrow, going back to that, we do have more damage. It's level 2, so it now deals something around 4 to 6 extra damage per level. So it does start a little bit lower. Yeah, something like that. But it's gaining 2 damage in 2 different categories, basically. Ooh, a chip topaz. And like, for example, if we wanted to get an elemental bow and had a couple chip topazes, we could put 2 chip topazes in here and do like 2 to 16 damage on our bow. And that would already be doing a lot more than probably Fire Arrow or Exploding Arrow, just not on average. It would just have a lot of really bad hits in between. I'm going to change off of this so I have regular hits in here. I don't know what happened there. Sometimes potions don't register correctly. I've noticed that more and more in testing, and I'm pretty sure I didn't introduce that. I think that's just always been there. It's just a weird little thing. That is a lot of enemies, and I think something is enchanted in there making them faster. Okay, so it's probably still a bit weak for this point in the game. That's probably okay, but we definitely want to put some points into it if we're going to use it, so. We also only have an 83% chance to hit, which is probably a little bit bad for this many small enemies. We should probably be able to hit these guys pretty easy. Some changes that I plan to implement as I've been kind of digging more into the monster stats file and how they calculate per level differences and stuff in Diablo 2 is I want to create a situation where a lot of these smaller enemies, for example, they might have some basic armor, but they don't need to have all the armor in the world. And then, like, Shaman are, you know, very simple enemies to begin with. That's a champion. There's a champion Shaman. Of course it is. Oh, and they've reached out here now. This is delightful. I did reduce the ratios from the previous version. So now every enemy is kind of like 1 or 2 levels higher than they would be normally in their attack rating and defense. But they're not 75% bonus, which is what I previously had done. So a 75% bonus gets ridiculous very quickly, and I was actually leading to a situation where I could barely hit enemies. I'm still barely hitting these guys. 84% chance is pretty good, but in the context of Diablo, it's kind of bad. Chip Sapphire. A mana potion. Let's go back to Fire Arrow and see if we can just get to this guy here. Okay. That was rough. Hit him, please. Thank you. Your heavy gloves. Let's get all these healing potions. And there's more champions down here. I haven't messed with drop tables yet. I talked about that a little bit last time. The champions always drop like a ton of potions. And while I don't mind that, I do want most enemies to not be dropping potions constantly. I want it to be a little bit more dangerous, I guess. Got a ghostly one here too. I think gold drops are pretty good. I was questioning them before, but I think they're actually pretty good, pretty solid. Some enemies like the skeletons, I might make them have high armor, not because they have high armor per se, but ow. That slow is very slow. Not because they have high armor per se, but they are a low health enemy, and I figure that it kind of makes sense to have, like, some of the lower health enemies have higher attack rating or chance to kind of dodge. With a skeleton, I think it kind of makes sense that they'd have a little bit higher defense, but they already have, like, excuse me, kind of no health to begin with, so just kind of following that through there, that logic. Just kind of talking about what I want to do, what I will do.
This place is eerie.
So we're getting 90 gold on a drop, which I think is totally fair.
I need a key.
Those guys hurt. Don't let them touch you. Let's actually see how much they hurt. 5 damage. A 50% chance to hit. That's pretty decent. One of the things I like about chance to hit in this game, but also other games that are not really the same thing, but something like XCOM, but also kind of the original Diablo 1, is when you have a chance to hit system, it creates a system that allows you to have lower damage. You're not always guaranteed to hit, so your time to kill is higher, but your time to kill is not based on entirely just large health pools. You can have enemies with higher chance to not be hit. Let's do this a couple times. I do not have enough mana.
I need mana.
Oh, come on. The one little guy in the front of the room. What are you gonna do? Same thing here, like, I don't like one-shotting. Well, not... I don't like being one-shot, you know? That kind of thing. And so it makes sense to have enemies do really safe but normal damage as well. Come on. That was a wasted shot. That was a badly wasted shot. But it allows you to kind of, I don't know, it allows balance to be very different by having some enemies that are harder to hit, some enemies that are higher health. You can have some kind of just different situations there. But yeah, it does mean that you can kind of stay a lower amount of health, which is something that I think Diablo 2 released as. But over the years, I think patch 8 or 9 buffed almost every enemy. And then patch like 10 and 11, I think, also buffed almost every enemy. And so you ended up getting kind of a bloated health pool on a lot of things. I really hate Fallen. Absolutely ridiculous amount of enemies. Not a huge fan of the mob mentality that Diablo 2 kind of started. Diablo 3 gets even worse. For right now, it's mostly just these enemies, but especially in the early game when you just don't have the capacity to kill them, and then the Fallen get resurrected, it just puts pain on pain, and this is gonna kill me if I'm not careful for sure. Ah, something is slowing me. There's an enchanted one of those little stabby dudes. Oh, beautiful. We found the exit. That was a really roundabout exit. Let's see what we picked up. Probably nothing great. All resist +4. That's kind of good, but I don't know why it says +4 instead of +4%. Does it normally do that? Did I break something? In an update, I will probably at some point change the spawn rate of... Give me a second. I will probably change the spawn ratio of the Fallen and the Shaman and stuff. There is a group number that you can use. And right now, the Shaman spawns with something like 3 to 6 Fallen. And I might change that to something like 2 to 5 or, you know, I don't know. So that they're not constantly just so many of them. I don't know if I'm just getting unlucky or they just always were that bad. And the mod is meant to be a little bit slower in general, so having that many constant, especially reviving enemies, is just so tedious. And I'm limiting mana potions a little bit more, and so like they're weaker. Oh. Oh yeah, here's another enemy. Zombies, I feel like they should be something like high health, low armor. They're slow, but they should probably be high damage. Something like that. And he actually does feel pretty high damage. I think he was doing like 8 or 10 there a hit. And these guys should probably be like high health, medium damage, kind of medium armor. Oh, geez. Oh, geez. Their melee attack hurts like crazy. Oh, because he's extra strong. Yeah, sure you are, buddy. These orbs being really slow, I probably won't change that. That's actually kind of cool. Those orbs, I think, do like hold damage, lightning damage, but no like slow to them or something. It's weird. So maybe it could be like a half a second of slow on top of that. Or like 20 out of 25 frames. Because otherwise you don't know that it's doing cold damage. Pretty sure it does cold damage. I'm like 95% sure. Getting some superior items in here. Oh yeah. Something else that actually scales. I'm not a huge fan of certain things scaling. I feel like certain things should be core rules to the game. So one of the things would be, actually, I'm going to pick that up. It might be worth something. Is I think enemies should have kind of an obvious type to them. So, for example, I think undead should never let you steal life from them. I don't know if they should allow you to steal mana, because why not? I don't know. They are spirits, so you're stealing their spirit from them, but they're not really living, so they don't really have vitality to steal. I don't know, something like that. But the idea would be something like, maybe a skeleton has 0% steal threshold, steal value, percentage ratio, whatever. I don't remember what it's called, actually. But a zombie might be like 50% or 75% reduced. A skeleton might be 100% reduced. Anything that's like a spirit. So like maybe zombies are 50% life, 50% mana reduction on steel. And then other stuff is like 100%. But like wraiths and maybe banshees and some other stuff like that would be, you know, 100% mana, but 0% life. So like this guy, he actually steals your health, which means he heals, but it might make sense to like not be able to steal it back, kind of thing, which makes him a big threat. I buffed these guys' attack. I don't know why he stopped attacking though. AI? AI? Must have a lot of idles time in its AI. It can attack fast, it just doesn't choose to. So I increased their health. I thought it was double. It's really not. The math is a little bit more complicated than that. But they are a high health enemy. And now, in general. I also sped up their attack, as you saw. It's actually the AI delay. So it's kind of like how fast they think. More so than it's actually the attack rate. Which is why it was idling a lot there. It was getting a lot of decisions, but a lot of the decisions were idle. Oh yeah, zombies should totally be like heavy hitting, high attack rating. And they kind of already are. Because, you know, you don't want to get touched by a zombie. That's just default fantasy understanding. I think that arrow went through the wall. Oh, he's lightning enchanted. Ow. That's no good. Oops.
Not enough mana.
We have another potion. Yeah.
Mana.
There we go. Light potions. Nice. Oh, required strength 50? That's a pretty big jump there. Required strength 18, required strength 50. I know I've messed with some armors here and there, but I don't think I increased anybody's strength requirements. And its defense is only 10. Yeah, that should either be really stronger or a lot less strength, because that's I don't know, that's kind of crazy. That's up there. That's up there with some ridiculousness. So you get 3 to 3 damage on fire arrow, but we're getting 4 to 6 damage on exploding arrow. This is a lot cheaper. Let's see here. So we've got fire arrow is 39. Exploding arrow is 48. That's maximums. 18 and then 26. It would probably need to be something like, at bare minimum, double the damage for quadruple the mana cost. So I may have to continue tinkering with the exploding arrow thing. Obviously, we also get like a 45% damage increase from the fire arrow synergy here, and since it affects both of them, they'll scale both ways. So putting a point into fire arrow is actually probably better than putting it into this, even though we're not in a point where we're actually making damage off of it. Still struggling with attack rating, surprisingly. I don't think I have any on my character, but it's a lot of doors. She's really noisy when she opens that door. Hasn't she heard the knock? Just slamming the door. Won't be slamming the door. Exploding arrow also being physical damage, part physical damage, means that while it's in the fire arrow line, it serves a different purpose from the other fire arrows, more or less. Let's put a safety scroll up. Okay, let's make sure we kill all shamans. Ow. Naturally, these guys should probably be almost always one-shotted. The Fallen. The ghouls being 2 to 3 is pretty good. I think that feels right. That slow crawl of the zombie, and he almost hit me too. That would have been... I want to see how much he hits me for. Oh, come on. There's another shaman over here. Can you just go to hell from where you came? Okay. Now we can pick apart this other crap. And this is why I currently have all arrows not having a requirement to be actually in the, so to say, game there. He's doing about 8. Was that 8? Yeah, 9. Yeah. attacks pretty fast, but, you know, moves pretty slow. So once he gets on you, he's kind of scary. And that's true of the first game. I've died to many zombies and ghouls in the first game for sure. They can be... if you're struggling to kill one of them and they all just bunch up on you, you're done. Oh, an antidote potion. Yes, please.
Not enough mana.
Oh my goodness. Go away. Okay. What do we got on the floor? Another long staff.
I'm overburdened.
And it's got nothing on it, really. Oh, this is something I didn't point out previously, but in the mod, staves have attack rating built in based on their current level. So this allows the staff to be a little bit different from the like wand or the orb, especially since you're losing the offhand slot.
I need mana. I need mana.
And I know you need mana. I really enjoy the original Diablo 1 and Diablo 2 formula, where enemies were not just like one damage type. You have bosses that do physical, you've got combinations of enemies that do like poison and lightning, or poison and fire, where you're kind of having to pay attention to what you're doing instead of just simply gearing up and saying, okay, I'm immune to this one damage type. And I am really struggling to live here. She's actually weak to fire. Don't know if I was hitting her, though. Yeah, 80%. She's got a 72% chance to hit me. We did it. We killed her. So we got 3 rares there.
Finally.
As I've said before, I'm kind of debating on how many items enemies should be dropping in general. In the past, I would say that the smaller enemies, especially like Corpse Fire, definitely should never drop more than 1 item. So you can farm them, you can get some rares and uniques and stuff, but just simply farming him will still be inefficient in the long run, because you could farm, say, Andariel and maybe get 2 or 3 items like we just did. So, wow. This is amazing and terrible at the same time. I love it. -5 to all attributes, but max damage, lightning resist, fire resist, poison resist, and magic damage reduced by 1. Is that all 6 stats? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, so those were all individual rolls. There was no like all resist plus something else. Those are all individual rolls. It's honestly a tempting amulet, but the -5 attributes is so bad. Required level 9. So if this is working how I intended it to work, the -5 all attributes right there should be reducing the level by either 2 or like 5. So assuming that Andariel is level 12, because I'm pretty sure she's like level 12 or 13, then she probably dropped something according to about a level 12. So probably is -2 levels in requirement there. Interesting. Let's sell some stuff. Max damage, because I mean, all those resistances are really good still. I lose the strength to wield my bow. Now we're playing Diablo. Now we're there. I'm happy with this. Okay, this other thing, maximum damage, all attributes, lightning resist, poison resistant, 2 mana per kill. Yeah, I'm gonna wear that. So between those, we're only losing 4 all attributes. I don't know how we have 41 mana. How is that happening? Oh, because we leveled up, we're getting one mana per level, so we've got a oh, that would have probably been half decent. Although replenish life is turned off when you're poisoned, so we'll keep that just in case it ends up not being as good. This one is just hands down better than the other one, so. And that would be better than that, but we need to go mess with our stats now.
Good.
And Dariel is dead. Thank you. We got this trident. 10% attack speed, 23 enhanced damage, 26 attack rating, 5 vitality, and 2 to mana. Okay, something that doesn't exist in the base game. The vitality here does not exist on most weapons. In Diablo 2, it can only, well, it's technically health, I think, in Diablo 2. I made it vitality. But it only spawns on, like, clubs and a couple maces and, like, two-handed mauls and stuff like that. But in this mod, I've made it spawn on all two-handed weapons, like as a possibility. So anything that's a two-handed melee, including a staff, can spawn vitality. And both staves and staves, wands, and orbs can all spawn mana, or in this case, spirit. So a staff is one of the few weapons that can actually have vitality and spirit at the same time. So just an intricacy just to share there. Is there anything else down here other than like a bunch of potions that I'd need to pick up? Probably not. I can buy potions. Actually, we should keep this spear and give it to our next dude.
Good day.
Go east. No cutscenes. Sorry. So how much strength do I need? 3? Wow. If I just put like 0 into strength on this character? That is absolutely atrocious. Pardon me while I make a billion little dings here. We also got this, which is kind of a strange, I mean, I changed amethysts, but it's kind of a strange thing here. I might want to upgrade the attack rating bonus here still. It was like 25 per level or 30 per level. The minimum damage is kind of just meant to be extra, but the attack rating and that together is supposed to be kind of that. Kind of like how I changed diamonds, where it's all durability plus something. So I figure attack rating by itself is usually pretty bad.
I know much about.
And I'm still experimenting with like how much a chance I need to attack Andariel and stuff.
I bet you good day.
Let's hire. Oh, my brain, I don't remember. Gotta go look this up. Which mercenary does what? Okay, combat is prayer. Defense is defiance. And offensive is aim. Aim actually is probably really good here. Defense, well, defiance is also defense, so defense could be really good here too. Let's see here. The only thing that could really bog me down is poison clouds, which the zombies that die put up. Prayer's probably not strong enough to be useful, but it could be. It could be. It also would offset a lot of the poison damage that defiance can't. So normal combat is... yeah. Welcome aboard, Azrael. Okay. Until I get like 3 more strength, I can't wear that. Let's go talk to some people here, just trigger their basic things. Atma. Let's go to the sewers. I was able to finally give some of the mages attack rating. I ran into a bug in my brain and then fixed it. But there's a lot of missiles that are shared between enemies and even players, and I incorrectly edited the amount of enemies that need to use attack rating. But skeleton mages and other similar types should now have a pretty decent chance to hit. Burning dead. Wow, only 75%. So yeah, we'll have to check out how the attack rating system works for, say, a sorceress, because right now we're just dumping everything we have into dexterity and we're still struggling to hit things. And if we're any other class, that's bad. We don't need every class to be dumping points into dexterity. Burning dead are probably just super resistant to my arrows. Another thing is that almost every enemy has a chance to block, and that was previously kind of pointless outside of physical attacks. But that means that enemies that have like a 5% chance to block now also block your explosions. I guess we're already probably that way. I don't know. I have to remember. I think explosions weren't that way. But definitely like your fireballs and stuff are now capable of being blocked by enemies with shields. And even some enemies without shields do have capacity to block, so. Thanks! You're welcome, random mercenary dude. You're only here so that I don't die. You, on the other hand, for whatever reason, can be revived. I can just abandon you down here and not worry about it. So in the past, when the attack rating formula took in the player's level, you could be able to overlevel and then hit things easier. That is no longer true. So it's a double-edged sword in that sense in this mod. So maybe these enemies are level 11. I'd have a slight offensive bonus because they're level 11 and I'm level 12. But now everything is purely armor rating. And Diablo 2 does have the ability to do missile attack rating separately from regular attack rating, which might be something I lean into on some different things like shields. I think some shields would be really interesting to have that be part of their design. Here we go. We got to penetrate. Now, normally this would be a level, what, 6, 12, 18? We're getting it 5 levels early. 5 levels? 6 levels? So, yeah, something like that. Math is hard. Don't judge me on my math skills, please. I do use calculators. So we want to put points into strength. Let's just put all 5 points into it so that we can equip this thing. Now we have an 82% chance to hit. That's a big jump. And on physical attacks, typically they gain attack rating when you level them up. The arrow attacks never worked in Diablo 2 Legacy, the non-resurrected version. So it's just removed. But I know that there are code edits to allow it to work, which would be a way to offset some of the current difficulties with attack rating on other classes. So if you want to use Firebolt, Firebolt could have a much, much higher chance to hit because it can just use the attack rating bonus column. And melee attacks don't have this issue. They already use it. So you get the attack bonus there and the attack bonus there and the attack bonus there. And for whatever reason, those are different orders. The damage is on top of the attack there, but the attack is on top of the damage there. I'm not a perfectionist. What are you talking about? That's really irritating. So like Lightning Strike, it didn't need attack rating. I don't know if it had attack rating, if I removed it or not, but because the charge damage and the lightning damage didn't need to use attack rating, it just probably wasn't there to begin with. But now that it needs attack rating, that's it's going to be a bigger problem. That guy's corpse was not useful. Ow. That was 7 damage. That's a lot. It's 10% of my health. Oh yeah, hit recovery is something I might mess with. I've messed with it in the past and I undid it later. I previously made a hit recovery really, really common on all hits so that it's a little less, do I have enough max health to deal with it, and more just you're gonna be hit recovery. I'd like to mess with that section of code in general. I think that every attack should have a chance of hit recovery. Because this is Diablo. Everything has to be a little bit of chance. So something like a 10% chance of hit recovery on any attack. And then have melee be as it was, but then have ranged attacks be maybe reduced. So ranged attacks are a little harder to trigger hit recovery with. This nerfs ranged attacks in general, but it also nerfs ranged attackers. I have not done that, but I think it would probably be a half-decent way to do it. Now, Path of Exile 2, which of course isn't out yet, has shown off some ideas of just kind of more of a poise system, kind of like Dark Souls or Salt and Sanctuary, where each hit kind of depletes your stagger resistance slowly. You're not supposed to walk right into it. So that's a Poison Cloud. Those are 100% chance to hit like normal spells in unmodded Diablo 2. But in Diablo 1, those kind of things actually did not have a guaranteed chance to hit. They use I believe they use the magic formula. Which was based on level. So if a level like 5 trap hit like a level, let's go back to fire arrow here. We're going to want those stamina potions later. If a level 5 trap hit a level 10 hero, it would have a significantly lower chance to hit them, something like that. That's how Diablo 1 worked. But there's no way to specify something like that in this game. Oh, hey. Stairs are right there. I wouldn't expect anybody in here to be uninitialized, but if you are, this next quest, man, hold enchanted fire dudes. That is ultra painful. Can't even move. Can't even move. Holy cow.
I need mana.
I can't get past them. Can I? Okay, let's put the teleport over here and go back. Woo! Those guys hurt, but that slow is ridiculous. That is something I'd like to look into, is having the slow on enemies, as well as the slow on a lot of the player stuff. Oh yeah, I needed to put that on him. I've got enough money. Having this slow on enemies and players both be a little bit less excessive would be nice, I think. Like Frozen Orb, I think it's up until like the 30-second duration, and then you get into the next difficulty level, and it's like halved, and the next difficulty it's like 2/3, like 66% reduced. And nah, just no. I have no idea if you can wear that. 41 strength. Do you have 41 strength? You do. You have a lot of strength. Good job, dude. Let's buy that for you. And that is extremely expensive. And also, I apparently missed a name there. Obsessed is in parentheses. Oops. Did we have hit recovery at one point? Yeah, we do up there. Man, these boots, I think I'm just going to sell them. They're a little excessive. We'll grab that. Damage reduced by 1. So a lot of enemies are hitting us for like somewhere between 7 and probably 11 damage at the most. So damage reduced by 1. That's physical damage only, by the way. In Diablo 1, it counted all damage, but in Diablo 2, it's split between physical and fire, lightning, ice, and magic damage are all considered magical. It's actually the only way to reduce magical damage. So I'm going to put this on the dude. I can't afford that, though. 16,000. Could sell some gems or something. That's a lot of money. But it would be really good on him. Oh, you know what? I don't know if their vitality stat counts. I have no idea. I don't know how that works. I bet their vitality stat doesn't do anything. What's the right button here? Yeah, they don't have a vitality stat, so anything that gives life doesn't work on them anymore. Well, that's disappointing. That's just an issue with the mod. It's not an issue with anything else. Longbow or composite bow. Composite bow would be really nice. Superior crossbow. 10 to 17, but it's so slow. So since that means... Man, the base cost of stuff is crazy. That needs to be looked at for sure. But 75 defense right there for 48 strength. That's a lot of defense. So I think that's way more fair than the boots we just had. Those boots were insanely expensive. Strength requirement, I mean. You got chain boots, which was like 30. Chainmail, which is 48. Ooh, that's 20 mana right there. That'd be handy. We've replenished life. We have a hit recovery. I'm gonna go with replenish life here. It's not a huge upgrade from 5 to 8, but the extra stamina is also pretty good. Stamina is no longer gained from level up or from vitality, so there is no very strong difference between those things anymore. Oops, I don't really mean to use that, but... So you saw me stagger the zombie quite a few times there. That probably needs to be reduced from arrows. Well, anything, but... Yeah, so I need to check like strength requirements and some attack rating stuff. So many things to check. That's why I play this mod. Originally, this was a very casual, I'm just going to mess with it mod. And then earlier this year, I decided to kind of make it into a true mod. Death approaches. Oh, multi-strike. Can you come around the corner, please? Dang, he went down quick. Yeah, that's not very good. Yeah, maybe I can sell it. Somewhere in here is Radamant, which is the goal here. And Radamant drops a book of skill. Probably a reference to Diablo 1 in general, but... Chain boots, huh? 13 armor. I know it doesn't sound like much, but when I only have 72, an extra 4 is, what was that, 5% armor? That's something, that's for sure. It's probably not worth wearing, though, without a modifier. If they had a modifier on top of being that much, then ethereal would be worth it. I have a whole list in a document, spreadsheet, where I was kind of trying to calculate how the armor system should work. So one of the things was kind of creating each piece of armor a little bit differently. So like gloves and boots would have a little bit more of your perspective armor, and armors would still be pretty good. But like light armors would be kind of a little bit better overall, light, heavy, and medium would be a little bit more obvious, and level requirements would play into more of their design as well. Especially since all armors are then naturally repeated when you go to the next difficulty level. So, I think it's like worm hide and demon skin and stuff like that would, they'd come out late, but they'd, be a little bit stronger than they currently are. But then like the super heavy armors that cost like way, way, way too much strength would also be, a lot stronger, is the idea anyways. Ah, we found it.
I need mana.
No, Rediment, we don't live again. Go away.
Not enough mana.
This mercenary is doing work.
I need mana.
Very
I can't carry him.
good work. Oh, and he died. Darn poison, you at it again.
Atma has been avenged.
Okay, the difference of this is a socket, magic damage reduced by 2. Okay, and then single socket. What can we do with that? Well, 6 strength is not that much at this point, but I mean, it's good, but that seems actually really bad. For, like, if that gives... Okay, not that one. I don't have one that gives the right kind of stat. Tier rune, or Tur rune. I've called it Tier rune all my life, so I don't know. Elder rune is terrible. Like to see those probably drop a little earlier. I don't know if that would be worth it. 2 mana per kill is absolutely crazy. But I can't really control it much. It's one of those things where 2 mana per kill on a single item is really good, but 2 mana per kill when you start stacking it everywhere becomes extremely, extremely ridiculous, whether it be a sorceress or anybody, really.
Good day.
Because it just suddenly, you just no longer have to worry about mana ever, ever, ever again. Unless you're using something that is somewhat expensive, which... sorry, I guess. It's too bad. Yeah, we're just going to sell this. The defense on this is probably worth the loss of stats right now. Force Spirit is kind of good. Actually, let's see if you have something better. So here, just as the Vitality doesn't increase his health, it also doesn't decrease his health. So this negative modifier is no longer a negative modifier for something like the Mercenary. So some of those modifiers, such as the Spirit or the Vitality, therefore are not bad on those circumstances. We're just going to grab those up immediately. And that is... Ooh, 2% mana stolen on hit is also very good. But almost 70 attack rating is absolutely huge. We've also got a skill point here we can use. Let's see here. So look at this. The breastplate is 30 strength. Those boots we had earlier were 50 strength. I think something's off there in what's valuable. Those are, I think, were light plated boots. I want a composite bow. I want a composite bow very badly. But this is not good. This is not a good composite bow. Ooh, a 3-socket. We could create something out of that. Although the Volge is probably better, but 3-socket Brandistock. I don't have the runes to create anything, but let's just store that for later. I'll look something up in between an episode. Okay, so our attack rating from this right here, this bonus is huge. It is better than it used to be to level up. It previously was kind of bad to level up. Now it's better to level up and kind of less good at the first level. So I believe it was actually 35 and then 10 per level. Now it's 30 with 15 per level. And a lot of the level ups that I have kind of messed with like that, a lot of the mastery type passive skills and stuff, they're just a little bit weaker at the first point. And typically take about 3 points to break even on some of them. Like this critical strike is I think 18% in the base game at level 1. So you need, you know, like 2.1 levels or something to get to that 18% again. But I'm planning on putting something else in critical strike other than just critical strike and calling it something a little bit more. But I think it might be interesting to put something like max damage in there. Just so that it has a value to be leveled up beyond just the critical strike. So max damage kind of makes sense with critical strike because you're extending your range while simultaneously having the chance to double whatever that range is. So that is one thing I'm looking at doing. It would probably be very, very small amounts of max damage early on. And maybe it's a percentage of max damage instead of just simply 1 point, which is something I can do. Another 15% of attack rating could be good. We're really struggling in that regard. Inner sight is also potentially good. Or we could just keep putting points into this stuff. Again, it's only 3 damage, fire arrow. 3 damage is still really good. But if we're not hitting, it's 0 damage. So same thing with magic arrow. This should be a lot stronger than it actually is. It only gains like 1 damage per level, and it should be something closer to fire arrow where it gains like multiple levels, points of damage per level, and kind of competes with fire arrow completely. It might even, it maybe should even be stronger than fire arrow, but it's naturally pretty strong. I don't know if the original version converted physical to magical or not. I think maybe it only converted physical to magical. I know it lowered in cost in the base game. It does not do that in my mod. So that's one of the reasons why it's so weak here. It needs to be buffed in general. Same thing with exploding arrow. Probably still needs to be buffed. It probably needs to be something absolutely ridiculous. Like level 1 is, I don't know, 10 to 20 damage or something like that. Might be what it needs to be. I don't know. Because I've got a little level 3 and it's barely killing stuff. But for the time being, I think this extra penetrate is the best thing.
Good day.
What do you got? Anything of value over here? Faster hit recovery is valuable, especially on those light boots. We've got a faster hit recovery helmet, though, that is absolutely amazingly good. Hit causes monsters to flee, but lose strength. That's a lot of strength to be losing. That is a lot of strength to be losing. I'm not sure that the level requirement is actually being reduced when it's supposed to be. So I don't know if that aspect is working. The negative stat on that should be reducing it by like 5 levels, and I don't think that's a 17 level item. And I cannot find a composite bow that's actually magical here. So, well, that's disappointing. Okay. Well, I am going to call it quits for this video, and we will pick up where we are here in the next run. I may or may not do some farming for some runes here. I don't know if... Well, I don't know how many people are really watching this. It doesn't have a lot of hours. The previous run had a lot more to it, but I don't know if anybody's going to mind that I went and did the Countess and got some runes, but let's put these in here. These creepy little sticky, gooey sounding things. Anyway, until next time, hope you enjoyed the watch, and check out the actual patch notes below the video because it's a lot more intricate. I'm just covering different pieces as I remember them and as I think to make commentary on them. So check that out.